Is there anything more satisfying than watching one of Saitama's signature finishing punches? No matter how many times an enemy brags to him about how powerful they are, only to get immediately taken out by one blow never gets old. That being said, there's more to the show than its titular gag. It's a cool superhero universe that is filled with nuance and secrets that fans have been trying to figure out for years. Most importantly, fans want to know how Saitama is so unbelievably powerful. There are many theories about not just Saitama, but the One Punch Man universe as a whole. So let's dive into some of the best theories about the show that could change everything. One Punch Man's existential themes open the show up to a much more philosophical examination than a lot of other anime. Strangely enough, people don't tend to examine the biblical themes behind fighting foodons. Not that they should or anything. Saitama's depressed saga searching in vain for someone more powerful than he has led some to the conclusion that his powers aren't just super. They think that his powers are in fact divine. It's possible that Saitama isn't the best superhero in the One Punch Man universe, but in fact the universe's god. His loneliness and desperation at having no equal could be due to the fact that he's the most powerful deity in the universe. You might be confused as to why a supreme being would want to wear tights and a cape, but it's actually not uncommon. This wouldn't be too out of the park for the genre. There are a ton of superheroes that double as gods of their universe. The most notable is Norse god/Avenger Thor. Despite the fact that he's lived for thousands of years, he still enjoys palling around with the likes of Captain America and Tony Stark. In the DC universe, Wonder Woman is revealed to be the daughter of none other than Zeus himself. She's not the only one in that universe to be associated with a divine being. The Spectre is supposedly the servant of the Christian god. Apparently being a superhero god is just really fashionable. It would be interesting to see the show drive into this concept. Perhaps he's from an entire pantheon and he just somehow forgot that that's where he came from. This might also explain why powerful monsters are always showing up around him. If he has the ability to alter reality, then reality could be reshaping itself to meet his desire of being a superhero. Also, this could provide a lot more room for parody. Who wouldn't love to see him go up against a hilarious version of Thor or Wonder Woman? While he might be a similar theological being to those characters, he really has a lot more in common with Dr. Manhattan. That character, like Saitama, started as a pretty normal dude. Then, over the course of both stories, they became the world's most powerful beings. Essentially, Manhattan became the scientifically created god of a world that didn't have one before. It's entirely possible that Saitama became this sort of god as well, although he did it through a frankly unimpressive workout routine. If that's how you become a god, Chris Hemsworth should have been one a long time ago. There are a lot of blazing fast superheroes in the One Punch Man universe. A lot of this has to do with how cool SuperSpeed looks in anime. Everybody loves it when their lines get all blurry. While many claim to be the fastest the world has to offer, they all seem to be moving in slow motion compared to Saitama. Is it possible that his powers are really just connected to his speed? Is Saitama the greatest speedster that ever lived? Speedasonic Sound is the one character that likes to brag about his speed the most. If you couldn't tell from his incredibly unsubtle name, he may as well have been named SuperSpeed and Ninja Fast. Despite his renowned capabilities, any confrontation with Saitama has made him extremely embarrassed. He dances around Sonic with almost a sense of boredom. Genos is also a pretty quick hero. He uses his explosive powers to jettison himself into action. This would make him one of the fastest heroes in any other universe. That being said, his training sessions with Saitama have always been a humbling experience for the hero. These scenes may hold a clue as to where Saitama's powers come from. It's possible that, like the Flash, Saitama is actually a speedster. His other powers, super strength and durability, may just be side powers. In order to be that fast, his body would need to be much more durable than the average human, though you've got to admit, Flash has a better costume. There are a lot of things about Saitama that simply don't make sense. Despite the fact that he evidently has no superpowers and a fairly normal, if a bit intense workout routine, he's insanely powerful. His world is also pretty ridiculous. Despite the fact that there are apocalyptic threats constantly, everyone just goes about their normal lives, though that is pretty indicative of superhero worlds in general. Why does anybody still live in Metropolis or Gotham anymore? While One Punch Man fans come up with theory after theory explaining all of this, there's one that seems much more likely than the others. What if all the events of the series don't make sense because none of them are actually happening at all? Some think that Saitama's entire life is just a dream. We have been introduced to the pre-superhero Saitama. This version of our hero is just a bored, ordinary businessman who wishes he was a hero. It wouldn't be ridiculous to think that this could all be his dream or fantasy. This wouldn't even be out of place for the series. There's the episode that shows Saitama going up against the Subterraneans. Then he wakes up to find out the whole thing's just a dream. How messed up would it be if there was a similar scene where Saitama woke to find that his entire superhero life was just a dream? It does seem like the kind of joke that the series would revel in. It's no secret that One Punch Man fans were disappointed with the second season of the series. The show pivoted to focus more on the action spectacle than its trademark wit. This has also illuminated what it is about the show that made it so special in the first place. The show's relentless lampooning of what made both action anime and superhero tropes instantly struck a chord with fans of both. In fact, the English dub begins with Saitama taking on a Piccolo-esque monster that was even voiced by the same actor from Dragon Ball. Christopher Sabat, who also does Vegeta and all sorts of other voices from Fullmetal Alchemist to My Hero Academia. He defeats a parody Dragon Ball's greatest enemy with his titular single punch. From then on, the entire season highlighted how ridiculous both genres are. So perhaps the greatest secret of One Punch Man is that there are no secrets at all. The series is so much more fun when no one takes it seriously. That being said, we're all anime fans here. Nothing's more fun than fan theories. While Saitama's trademark apathy and constant depression represent the series' most hilarious moments, they could point to something else. These might be signs of unfortunate things to come. As stated, fans love to compare Saitama to Dr. Manhattan. Like that character, he seems to be slowly drifting away from other people. He's slowly losing his sense of empathy for those around him. If things go as they do for the good doctor, this could lead to disaster. Manhattan eventually ends up abandoning Earth in favor of Mars, though that isn't the end of his story. In DC Comics, Manhattan is now known for his meddling in the universes of heroes like Superman and the Justice League. This has put him in the crosshairs of these heroes, and is building up to a confrontation between him and Krypton's last son. It's easy to see Saitama going down this sort of path. Eventually, he may see that the best way to truly challenge himself would be to start taking on the heroes instead of the monsters. This could lead to a heartbreaking scene where Genos finally surpasses his mentor, only to have to destroy him. In a grim way, Genos taking down Saitama would be both of them getting exactly what they'd always wanted. It would be a great bittersweet end for the show. Anybody need some tissues? Every being out there has a maximum limit to how powerful they can get. No matter how much you work out, you'll inevitably hit the peak of your physical capabilities. Unless you're The Rock. In that case, you'll just magically sprout new muscles forever. Seriously, that guy's like 300 neck muscles alone. In One Punch Man, these limits are referred to as limiters. The only problem with the limiter term is that it doesn't seem to apply to Saitama at all. No matter how strong the dude gets, it seems like there's no ceiling. The idea here is that people do have the potential to break through or expand their limiters. Whether through stress or some sort of mutation, this change essentially raises your ceiling much higher than it was before, though in Saitama's case, blows the ceiling up entirely. Season 2 of One Punch Man threw in quite the twist. Apparently there's been a prophecy about a massive apocalyptic event. Though in the One Punch Man universe, how is that different than a normal Thursday? Naturally, fans are all over the place with theories about what this prophecy could be talking about. While it could be referring to monsters, meteors, or some sort of evil scientist, there's another much more obvious threat. Saitama's power definitely hasn't gone unnoticed in the world. With all the evil bad guys out there, someone's had the thought that weaponizing him would provide the greatest threat in the world. If a scientist or psychic being of some kind were able to take him over, that would be a threat that would make Thanos look like a loser. It would take all the heroes united to even challenge him. Not that this would even necessarily work. The other way Saitama could be used against the world is if he was cloned in some way. Much like how Lex Luthor cloned Superman into Bizarro, a scientist could make a dark twin of Saitama. This would lead to the ultimate One Punch Man showdown, Saitama versus Saitama. There is one pretty grisly theory about how Saitama can be so powerful. The One Punch Man universe is full of all sorts of disgusting monsters. That's probably what their version of National Geographic is all about. There are monsters underground, monsters in the water, monsters getting made in labs, and even monsters from outer space. What if there was one more type of monster that nobody suspects? What if Saitama has been a monster all along? This theory gets a little like a Cronenberg movie, but think about it. We know that Saitama was a pretty normal guy when he came across Krablante. Then he pulled the dude's eyes out and slime shot out of his head. Saitama was bleeding at the time, and it's likely that he took in monster blood. He may have accidentally ingested some of it as well. Seeing as this is set in a superhero universe, any sort of slime or blood mixing like this often ends up transforming a normal person. Just look at Spider-Man. He got bit by a radioactive spider and now he's all superhero-y. Perhaps Krablante's DNA set forth some sort of epic transformation inside Saitama. The theory sets up that Saitama will continue to evolve the more powerful he becomes. His innate need to be challenged and grow is a biological need to push towards the next stage in his evolution. If this is true, he could one day end up as disgusting and hideous as all of those monsters that he punches away. This one seems pretty unlikely, but anime protagonists do have a history of turning into monsters. Naruto into the nine-tailed fox, Goku into a great ape, Eren into his Titan form. It could end up being a great area for One Punch Man to mine its trademark dark comedy. Though this would be its darkest, not to mention its grossest. One Punch Man Season 1 was an ever-escalating merry-go-round of cool villains that Saitama would take out with zero effort. We started to wonder, like Saitama, if he would ever get an enemy worthy of challenging him. Enter Lord Boros. This alien pushed Saitama further than we'd ever seen before. Aside from that, he was undoubtedly the character who had the most in common with our hero. Boros was also a bored, powerful being who couldn't find an equal. Some even think that he's a hint about Saitama's true origins. It's no secret that Saitama runs circles around the world's heroes without much effort. Part of the reason why could be that he's just really good at working out. On the other hand, maybe he isn't challenged by humans because he isn't human. Superman and Goku are both similarly much more powerful than most of the people around them. They both also share more or less the same origin. Both are aliens who escaped the destruction of their homeworlds in a spaceship that crashed on Earth. It would be just like One Punch Man to parody both characters by having Saitama learn that he has the same origin. This could also add to the drama of the series. Saitama may have never met a true match, but if he meets a member of his own species, all could change. Once Superman met Zod or Goku met Raditz, both found challenges greater than any they had ever before. It would be cool to see another being at Saitama's level for him to have a proper showdown with. Maybe one day. There are a lot of theories out there about Saitama's powers. This one states that he doesn't even have the powers we think he does. Perhaps the reason his powers seem impossible is that they are. Maybe he's just an incredibly powerful psychic that has the ability to make his enemies think he's attacking them or moving at super speed. Then, like how people who are hurt in the Matrix are hurt in real life, his enemies actually feel the pain he inflicts on their minds. We've seen psychics like Fubuki and Tatsumaki, but he would be much more powerful. While this is a cool theory, it seems unlikely. Saitama doesn't really seem like the type of person who could invade somebody's mind and project an elaborate fantasy onto them. No offense, but he just doesn't seem that smart. Saitama seems like a pretty unhappy guy. Mostly the show paints his depression around his boredom over not being challenged. If this were truly a thing that would cause such an existential crisis, Goku would be a miserable person instead of a happy one. Some think that there's a different reason entirely for Saitama's sad mental state. It's possible that our hero might have been dying this entire time. While that's a pretty dramatic twist for a show like One Punch Man, it would make some of the scenes make sense. If you were a dying superhero, it wouldn't take much to set you off. Saitama takes small things like missing a sale and freaks out to a ridiculous degree. Still, that seems pretty dark for One Punch Man. These overdramatic moments are probably just for comic effect. It's just part of its parody shtick. When two superhero anime like One Punch Man and My Hero Academia get popular at the same time, there's one theory that's bound to pop up. The two shows are connected. Some fans think that One Punch Man could be a far future version of the My Hero Academia universe. This theory even goes so far as to explain that Saitama has some variation of the one-for-all quirk that All Might and Deku have. While that would be amazing, it doesn't really make sense. There are far too many differences in the two universes for them to be the same. It could be possible that One Punch Man and My Hero Academia exist in parallel universes. Regardless of which theory you like, one thing is obvious. We want a crossover. Tell me you wouldn't love an Endgame-style crossover where the heroes from both universes team up. That might be the most epic thing in anime history, as long as it's better than Jump Force. Though, could anything really be worse than that? One of the greatest mysteries in One Punch Man revolves around the world's greatest hero, Blast. We've heard a whole lot about him over the years, but we haven't seen very much. Sure, there have been a few glimpses and silhouettes of the man, but no real look at him. This leads a lot of fans to a pretty obvious theory. Since we haven't seen the hero, many think that he's actually Saitama. While it's possible that our hero is simply pulling double duty, one thing seems more likely. Blast might be Saitama from the future. Perhaps he's traveled back in time to save the world from a threat that he failed to save them from before. At this point, it's going to be a little disappointing if he isn't Saitama, or a twist along those lines. If so much time has passed before he's revealed only to show that he's a spiky-haired, scarred guy who gives evil monologues, it's gonna be sad. There's another pretty epic Blast theory that has a lot of fans buzzing around the internet. The legendary superhero may end up being Saitama's father. Saitama has incredible powers that are rivaled by no one. It would make sense that he has the blood of Earth's #1 hero running through his veins. If this twist does come true, it's unlikely that it'll end with a happy reunion between the two. Usually when protagonists have mysterious, powerful fathers, they end up as enemies. Just ask Luke Skywalker. Though it would be cool if One Punch Man went against that trope. It would be cool to see father and son saving the world together. Maybe superheroics just runs in the family. The existence of Blast means only one thing for the future of One Punch Man. He has to take on Saitama. The two will undoubtedly square off against each other to see which one of the two is more super than the other. We would all love to see Blast to be the one who put Saitama in his place at last. They've been hyping him up as the greatest hero of all time. It would be a shame if he went down as easily as all the rest. How great would it be if Blast took Saitama out in one punch? Now that would be about the most epic thing One Punch Man could do. And there you have it, the best One Punch Man theories out there. Were there any good ones we missed? Do you think you have Saitama's powers figured out? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to CBR.